Hi everyone. Today we are here again with the live segment. I'm very excited today because today's topic is something which I can speak again and again and for a very long time. So today we are going to talk about, are you memorizing your speech right? Yes. If you are the person who are memorizing the speech for 5 minutes or 7 minutes and you get stuck or you're able to deliver it perfectly. Are you the person who can deliver the speech perfectly the way you memorized? Or are you like me who memorize, but when it comes to presentation, you get stuck in between? After 10 years of doing public speaking, several speeches, I found my way of memorizing the speech. I am not a kind of person who can actually memorize the entire speech word by word and deliver. It's difficult for me. But I also found out the way which works for me, and I hope this works for you as well. As everyone says, just don't memorize word by word. It goes the same. But there will be some parts of the speech which needs attention, like it may be a rhetorical device, something which the sentence rhymes. There can be some part of the speech which is very valuable for the customers or for the clients or for the audience. That can be memorized, which is usually the conclusion. The conclusion is something which you can memorize word by word, and it works well. So tell me one thing, are you the person who are memorizing the speech, right? Let us see. If you want to give a speech, opening is usually something which you should keep it casual. You should not open with some hard statements. I have seen people doing using quotes to open the speeches, but I find the quote gets lost by the time the speaker have said the quote, unless you bring it back in the end, in the conclusion. Because when you're ready to give the speech, you're just ready, you're just there to give the speech. And then suddenly you come up with a quote. The audience is not really warmed up to understand what exactly are your sentences. It can be like you start your speech by saying, have you heard this quote? And that's when you warm up the audience, and that's when audience comes forward and listens to you. You directly come with the quote and you start with the quote just because you memorized it. And you need to just get off with your mind was mentioning the quote and then continue with your speech. But what happens is the connect it's lost. So usually, have you heard this quote by so and so on so and so? And then you mention the quote. Of course, while memorizing, you need to remember all this sentence also, and then you mention the quote. You directly come and then mention the quote, the sentence. There are chances that it gets lost. But when you're memorizing, you have to memorize in a sentence. And then you do the salutations like opening, good morning, good afternoon. And then you open the sentence, open the paragraph, or open your speech. Usually, you start with the story. That is the easiest way you can do to memorize your speech. You don't have to memorize what happened with you in a sequence, right? It can go the real way, because in stories, that is what has happened to you. If at all you're explaining to someone, if you want to explain it 10 times, there's possibility you will not make a mistake. Yeah, because it is something which has happened to you. So you start with the story, and then story has a sequence, right? In the morning, and then this happened, then there is a conversation, and then there is a closing of the conversation, and then the understanding on the learning of that story. So what I understand is, you bring in a story after your opening paragraph. And then there is a paragraph which is the message to the audience. And that message can be memorized. And that message, you put all your 100% to memorize that sentence. By the time you're already middle of your speech, if it is a 7-minute speech, you're already concluded with the 4 minutes, and then you're happy that you've done a good job. And that is when you give that powerful memorized version of your speech. Now when you're preparing your speech, the conclusion has to be prepared first, because your opening may change, your stories may change, you may bring variety, the lengther version of the story, the shorter version of the story, but the message or the takeaway or the conclusion remains the same. Yeah. So when memorizing, you memorize your conclusions first. You work on your conclusion first. The call for action has to be included in the conclusion. And remember, call for action can change. Yeah, it can be variety of your words. The call for action need not be in that particular sequence. So out of that 720 words, you can only memorize 50 words. Rest, be sure that you add your own personal story and your characterization and explanation of the characterization, which can all be in simple words. So what I understand is, what is a call for action? The call for action is the message which you're giving the audience to do after listening to your speech. What you want them to do. If it is an entertaining speech, there need not be a call for action. There may not be any call for action, right? But if you're in an inspiring speech and something you explain that what happened to you and you took the action, you want that to audience to also do or follow after listening to your speech. And that call for action can be given away to the audience in the end. And that is when call for action can have a connection with the opening. So now you know the call for action. So in the opening, it's an introduction to your speech saying that, have you ever done so and so? And the answer to that is at the end, giving call for action. I did this. I hope this works for you. For example, if you're talking about marathon, right? In the opening, you can always have a question. Have you ever done your marathon or planning to do a marathon? So call for action in the end is, the proper diet or this much practice helped me. I hope this works for you. So that is a call for action. So talking about the memorizing of the speech, please do not say word by word as you scripted it. And when you're scripting it, please take the help of ChatGPT, because it is not the right suggestion if I tell you you cannot use ChatGPT. But as far as possible, use your own story. When you're explaining your own story, you cannot do mistake. You may run short of words, but instead of some word, you may use some other word, but it will work for you. Okay. So I hope this memorizing of your speech done right. Do not memorize 720 words, only max 50 words and a particular quote or something. So I hope this helps. See you again in next video.